There are two kinds of civilization you will find. There is one built by the wisdom of man, and there is one built by the wisdom of God. And historically, that was built by the wisdom of God has a name. The one that was built by the wisdom of man also has a name. So after creation, with the story of Adam, Eve, you moved down to Noah, and then eventually God encountered Abraham. And he said to him, I will make you the father of all nations, not one nation, father of all nations. And while he made that promise to Abraham, he was consistent all through the scriptures that it is father of all nations, not one nation. But you see, God has a unique pattern that is predictable. So when God wants to create 7 billion people, for instance, he does not just go into the factory, manufacture 7 billion people, and then dump them on the earth to start wandering about. He first creates one. And when he creates one, he can take out of that one and make two, and then put in them the seed to replicate themselves. So if he wanted to create trees, he would create one unique tree or one unique species, and then put in them the ability to replicate. If he wanted to create a civilization, he can only pick one person, Abraham, and then through Abraham create a model civilization. So what God wanted was all nations. But now there have been other nations that are existing. But these nations now, many of them no longer have genuine access to God. And so what was happening here is that God wanted to see that there is a nation we can build here. And that nation is called the nation of Israel. And he chose Abraham for that purpose. And through Abraham, he started from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob, and then later to Egypt. Out of Egypt, you still have them today. And so, but the goal was not to erect Israel. He is not interested in just Israel. He wanted all. But he wanted to create one and show this one, through this one, advertise his power, and show men how they might be able to relate with him. And up to a point where he will send his son Jesus Christ, who will come to die for us on the cross, and then who will now open up that which was usually exclusive to one nation and open it up to as many nations as will embrace him. But there is another civilization you see that was built by the wisdom of man. Babylon, for instance. They were building according to man's desire. Let us build a city whose top will reach the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves. Let us do this. That's man's idea of civilization. Man wants to build. In the case of Israel, Israel is not born, or that civilization is not born out of man's need to prove any point. As a matter of fact, the men who built Israel were on their own, and God told them, "Well, move, I will show you a land." In Babylon, people usually have an idea and they solicit for how they can achieve their goals. In the other empire, God has his goals and he recruits us to be a part of it. In Babylon, men have goals and they attempt to recruit God to be a part of it. So they have a clear where they want to go, they have an understanding of where they want to go, and they are moving at it. Sometimes they can become so arrogant they don't even acknowledge any help they might have received along the way. So you see things like, "My hand has built this," and then the person who is shouting that his hand has built this, yes, worked so hard, but he forgot that someone created those hands with which he worked so hard. He forgot that someone was sustaining his breath while he was working hard. So there are two modern civilizations, the one built by man and the one built by God. And these two civilizations are equally successful. Look, there are a lot of things that work without God. Not necessarily that they can work without God, but there is a way man can align himself with what has already been set in place. Whether or not he worships God, he will achieve results. And so, for instance, God told Noah in the conversation he had with Noah, he was telling Noah about times and seasons. I encourage you guys to read the conversation God had with Noah after the flood. And you will see clearly where he stated clearly about the laws that govern the universe. But then he told you that the laws that govern the universe had existed even before men started understanding science. So things like gravity, for instance, existed before science discovered it. Today, man is at the elementary level of our exploration of Mars. Man is at the elementary level of exploration with, for instance, you saw the billionaire that died with his son, I think a few months ago, where they were trying to see the wreckage of Titanic, and that thing died. But the thing is that dream has not died. Other people will pick up on that technology and keep reiterating on that technology until they perfect it, so much so that they can start building hotels, they can start building tourism centers under the belly of the water. So men have not even fully explored the body of water. Men have not even fully explored the earth. So there are many more things to discover. But even before we started making those discoveries, those things have been put in place by a transcendent being. And by your understanding how those things exist, and by taking advantage of those things that have been created, by taking advantage of the laws of nature, whether or not you pray in the morning, the sun will still shine in your house. Whether or not you pray to God, or whether you are an atheist or you're a theist, the moon will still shine. Whether or not you acknowledge that there is God, once it rains, it will rain in your house. So because of this, anyone who aligns with the sun can harness the sun. Because Jesus Christ says that the Father gives freely to all, that he causes his rain, he causes his sun to shine on everyone. And so when men can take the resources that has been made available by the God of heavens, men can take silicon, for instance, and make a silica gel out of it. Men can take uranium, for instance, and make complex mixtures and complex equations and then fine-tune it to solve societal issues. So men can build civilizations. And that is where it gets confusing to a lot of people, because people say, but look at China, they don't worship God, but they are successful. Look at this nation, they are atheists, but they are successful. Look at the other nation, and their aim is that only people who worship God will be successful. Well, sorry, that's not how the world works. God is generous to everyone. If you see the level of God's generosity, by the way, we are building the foundation to discuss our probity and our accountability, and there is a reason why we are providing this background. God is generous. Even the armed robber that goes out to steal, to kill, and to rob people, it is still God who gives him the breath. Even after he had stolen from people, he may have even killed people, God will still command his kidney to clean out the toxins in his body that evening. Even as those people are shouting, there is no God, there is no God, God is still sustaining their lungs to be able to breathe. That is how God works. And so you don't have to acknowledge him for him to give you his gifts. You don't have to. All you have to do is to align yourself with the principles, align yourself with the resources that have been made available. So if you're a farmer and you go to farm, for instance, and you till the ground, once you know how to till it, once you apply all the laws, once you do all that you're supposed to do, the land has been commanded to yield her increase. And so you don't have to be a Christian, you don't have to be even a believer to be able to till the ground. And that is why some people can achieve civilizations outside of God. A key point is there is a thriving industry. It is called Yahoo Plus, internet fraud, or fraudsters attempting to defraud people using fake love, fake internet ID. You know all about internet fake, all of those fraudulent people, internet fraud. I think in Nigeria we call it 419, obtaining by false pretense. It's a thriving industry, and many young people can apply themselves to 419, and they will buy Benz, assuming that we have said that Benz is the benchmark for civilization. So if what we're looking for is money, I hope you know that someone can become a robber and will make money. Someone can also decide to become an engineer and make money. Someone can decide to offer something of value and make money. Someone can also decide to defraud and make money. Someone can decide to go into prostitution and make money. Someone can decide to go into drug abuse or drug business, those drug cartels and drug battles, and make money. So if money, for instance, is what we are looking for, we can make money through godly means, and we can make money outside of God. And if we are going to be building a civilization, we can also build a successful civilization outside of God, and we can build a successful civilization with God. And so these are two distinct civilizations: the house that is built by man and the house that is built by God. At Booker School of Government, we are interested in the house that is built by God. And so when we want to look at how God deals with the government, how God sees government, how God sees governmental systems, how God sees all of these issues, we now go to the scriptures and we study ancient texts. We now see, okay, this is the way God sees this. This is the way God sees that. How do we apply it in our own context? And might it provide us some form of result? Of course, if we apply the other worldly system, it can still deliver results. Like I've given you copious examples. If I apply myself to drug business, believe me, I'll make drug money. If I apply myself to 419, I will make 419 money. If I also apply myself to a legitimate service, legitimate value, legitimate enterprise, I can also make money. So using money as an example to show you that someone can make money with or without God. That is the same way some people can build civilizations with or without God. But we are saying that there is a need for us to consider building a godly civilization. And it is in that godly civilization that we are now considering the topic, enthroning probity and accountability in governance.